So, you want to get to the moon, eh? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, I'm going to teach you how to get to the moon in Simplerockets 2. So we're not teaching you in real life, that's a little twist, but you get the idea. First, you need to make sure you have a pretty decent rocket. What this should be composed of is some boosters at the bottom, or wherever you like, preferably the bottom, a core stage here, a second stage, and maybe a fairing. Fairing's not necessary. Third stage to boost the lander to get to the moon, and then you should have a final stage, which is your lander. Next, it should be time for launch. If you did not like the time you selected to launch, it's okay. There's always time warp. Just time warp to the time that you want, which is what I did here. When you're ready, hit the stage button at the bottom right of your screen. I'm sorry, it's kind of off screen right now, but that's okay. And also make sure to select lock heading on currents on the panel at the right. At the very top of it, there should be a button. Just hit the one that looks like a lock. So I have a specific order of turning my rocket. So at 1,000 meters up, I pitch it to 75 degrees. And then once I'm at 2,500, I pitch it again to 65 degrees. And so on. Finally at 5,000, I pitch it to 55 and I let it sit there for a bit. Once your core stage and boosters run out, or if you notice that the core stage isn't running and the boosters are running, or vice versa, just hit the interstage button again at the bottom right, and then open your fairings if you have any. Don't let that happen. You can prevent that by enabling the joysticks and rolling your rocket so that the fairings open to the side instead of to the front. But then once you're at about 15,000, if your rocket hasn't staged by then, pitch it to 35 or 45, your choice. Once your rocket's periapsis is satisfactory, it's that green arrow, and on top of that it gives you the height of it. Once that's satisfactory, maybe around 75 kilometers and higher, don't make it too high either, you can go ahead and pause the game at the top right of your screen. And then you can select a burn by hitting the plus on anywhere on your path, preferably the periapsis, and then dragging that one on the very left to the end. Make sure your burn gizmo sensitivity is up. If you don't know how to do that, it's in your flight view. Just turn it up because it might be very slow. And then start dragging it. Keep dragging it until the yellow crashing icon, the explosion icon, is gone. That means your rocket's gonna crash. And then just drag it so that it's a good circle, one that won't deorbit your rocket, and then just drag it around until it meets your needs. Then select the engine icon in your flight view and then hit the warp icon to warp towards the burn. Just let it sit there, let it do all the work, but here's something for you. If your rocket, like mine, is out of fuel in the middle of your burn, remember, you can always just stage it right in the middle of the burn when it runs out, like I did here. Once your rocket is there, unselect the engine icon and boom, you're in orbit. Congrats. Once you're in orbit, whenever you like, it's time to go to the moon. So, here's how you do your burn. First of all, select Brigo, or whichever planet you want, preferably Brigo. Tap on it, open your map view, and hit the little target icon there. It should pop up for you, but if it doesn't, you can always open it on the right. Next, on Brigo's path, or whichever moon again, you should see this green arrow on the path. Now, that's perfect if you see that. Pause the game if you want, you don't necessarily have to. And select a burn parallel to it on the far side of the planet, parallel to the green dot. Select a burn and drag out the prograde one, which again is the green one on the left with the dot in the middle. Just drag it out until you get there, Now, it may be like this, and you might not be able to see your path to the moon. That's completely okay. What you can do is drag out the blue one at the bottom or towards you a bit until you see the moon icon on the right there. Go up, and then your path should start to look like that. When it looks like that, just drag it up a bit more and just keep playing with it until you see the yellow icon. Now, I'm not teaching you how to orbit the moon, I'm just teaching you how to land on it. But congratulations if you have achieved that. Now do what we did last time with the burns. Hit the power button or the engine button, hit fast forward to the burn and let it sit there and work its way to the completion. Great. Now don't forget to quick save. You could do that by tapping the 3 lines at the top left, then tapping the quick save button. Now for the tricky part. You may notice that I'm using a different save state here. Well, why? I think the old one got corrupted. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it did. But anyway, here's the trickiest part of the trip, the landing. Okay, now 2 things to keep in mind. One, on the right of your fuel is the height, how high up you are in the atmosphere. On the left, you have your speed in meters a second. So the m/s and then the number, that's meters a second, the m is meters, and then the slash is a, and then s is second, right? So you want to make sure that you're out at about maybe 45,000 kilometers. You want to make sure it's at about 250 meters a second in speed. So here's me just doing a bit of burning, putting my throttle up to get there. Now the most important thing is fuel. You make sure that your rocket has enough fuel to get to the moon and land on it. Now, here's the trickiest part. I didn't really reach the 45,200 meters a second goal, but that's fine. I got really low here and my speed was still pretty high, so at the very last moment I slowed down just enough. So just burn at full throttle, maybe not full throttle, I don't know, but make sure you're not gonna crash. Make sure you're going slow enough to crash. And if you start going back up again, like you notice that you've stopped your speed and now it's increasing going up, do not do that and shut off your throttle. Okay, here we go. So I'm at 900, I'm at 100, here we are, burning, and that speed is about good for there. And then burn it down to about 50-ish for here. Remember to keep constantly doing quick saves. Just make sure your speed is good enough so that on the right you can't see the numbers going down like mad. Here I left it to the last second and I impacted, I think. So I'm just setting up my pitch here because I've gone idle. And I think here's where I land. And here it is. You just gotta make sure you're going slow at the right height. Now here it is, and boom, I'm down, and there we are. Now, if you're in nighttime, it's really tricky, so I wouldn't recommend doing a nighttime landing. I couldn't even see anything there. But just time warp, and wait for it to be day, and you should be all good, and it's going to be really cool if you're upright. Good job.
No, I'll leave it.